What's up, Army? You know the vibes. Welcome back to Redemption 46 Studios. I'm Nick.
안녕, 로입니다.
And I'm Curtis.
You know the vibes. Y'all seen the picture. Y'all seen the thumbnail. Y'all know why y'all here. J-Ho!
정호 속!
Arson. Comeback shit. He just keeps giving us treats. Album is out.
Official single.
Album review will be coming soon. If this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button because 70% of y'all watching haven't hit it. And it's your 10th video here. Exactly.
Some of us take a 20th.
20th video and you haven't hit the subscribe. Yo.
Just say you don't like us.
Also, if this is your first time here, make sure you jump on the Patreon. It's going to be exclusive BTS drip on there. In the Soup, first 2 episodes are out on there. Rise of Bangtan, all the episodes are out on there. Run BTS, Mama performances, a new Mama and an MMA just dropped this week. Also, live performances, things that are blocked, and just a decent ass community of over 2,000 redeemers.
Real conversations, honest conversations.
Oh yeah,
some of the greatest subscribers ever, man.
This is a fun place, and the Patreon's an even funner place. Without further ado, let's jump into Arson.
J-Hope, Bangwa.
Don't burn me. It's like this.
Wait a minute, what conversation we having?
Shit. Done.
Let's burn, 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 burn. It's done, 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 done.
Oh shit, my fault.
Done, done. Let's burn, make your jogging burn, make your money burn, let them look burn.
I like that.
Burn it all, and now what it all. I'm young and burn, of course. 인기까지 도 내 스스로가 과열이 될 수밖에 없던 뭣도 모를 무식한 내가 방해와 동력. When I swap, get shot, put it to the street, get on my feet, on my back, I'm looking for my back. Now I'm burning up, yo, do you get it, yo, yo, fit it on the work, yeah, but I believe it, yo, yo. Hey, but I know my guns, be my flash, be my label, with my fellas, got your head, time to get all day. 합리적인 공범, 방어범, what's fun, 무서울 건 없어, 해치 안
Hey. I love that bass line. Let me guess, Arson. He's in the center of an S and it's like a yin yang because he's found balance in the fire. Maybe you're onto something.
Well, it's also like a dragon, a young.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's pretty quick, John.
Okay, he came in, did damage, and just left.
Arson is.
This definitely is more in line of what I thought the singles was gonna be. It's a very nice bass line and definitely like just that drum pattern that's very much, I call it baseball rap, like during the 90s, like kind of like hip hop, not so much hip hop ish, but you know that Naughty by Nature
Naughty by
vibe.
Nature, yeah, very hip hop, like
very
what they call the essence of hip hop, yeah.
Yeah, so like this is dragging baseball bat music, like,
and
you know,
Scully,
kicking over trash cans, fire all over the trash cans. If y'all know, y'all know.
Onyx, Naughty by Nature.
Yes.
kind of just definitely
not so much DOS effects.
No,
but,
DOS effects. And what's the other one? Who's the black sheep?
Where's the black sheep?
Like definitely. You can get with this, or you can get with that. Good times, good times.
Not so much as upbeat, but just kind of just that gritty, the rawness of hip hop you can feel all in here. I love all of that. I love the dialogue as far as like him explaining his flow of Arson and just burning up everything and stuff like that. I can tell from just the 2 tracks that we got, not so much that this is going to be one of those artsy projects, but it's very much an artist-centric project. This, at least so far from these 2 singles, doesn't. How can I word this? He's more so worried about telling his story and being an artist first, as opposed to going the pop route or like kind of the rap route. It's a lot more darker than Hope World, and that's what he said he wanted to do. So far off the first 2 like singles, he's done it. This is definitely darker. Another, I guess, side of J-Hope that not so much we didn't know was there, but just growth. And selfishly at first, I kind of did want another kind of just Hope World with kind of the same upbeat energy.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly very happy that we're getting a whole different side of him. I like this energy. I think it's just him kind of growing as an artist, and I think this is dope as shit. I like this. I might like this a little bit more than more. I might like this a little bit more. The rapper,
first listen, definitely jumped into. I'm already thinking about putting this on like a workout playlist. Like
same.
If I start boxing again and everything like that, this definitely hit the bag music and everything. So
and I like more, and especially after we did that reaction, I started fucking with the song when I did the card test and everything too. But off of first listen, this kind of hit the vibe a little harder for me personally. But tell us in the comments. But how y'all feel?
Yeah, man, I echo some of your sentiments as far as what I had wanted before he went and said what the album was about. I was like, all right, this is gonna be Hope World too, because that's what I thought was coming. And I'm just like, all right, shit, I'm all for it, because I love Hope World, and especially like Daydreams, one of my favorite songs, the title track Hope World.
What's Blue Side, Pop, P.O.P.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have another one from there too. It escapes me at the moment, but I just love that project. So, and then Hosuck's also the lightest of the rap line. He's like the more cheery kind of bubbly guy from rap line anyway.
He was the one that wasn't from the hip hop from underground.
He just gave me fun vibes. Whereas with Sugar, you'll get the angsty kind of rebel with the cause and everything like that. In RM, you'll get the astute brainiac MC kind of vibes.
The poets.
Yeah, J-Hope was the fun, the bounce. And so I'm like, okay, that'll be cool. But once he announced on the Festa what the direction he was going, I'm like, okay, cool. I want to see this. And I actually do kind of appreciate this, even though, like I said, more is not something I would necessarily listen to as frequent or anything like that, or at all. This is something, like I said, definitely time and place. It would be the gym for me. This is I love that kind of redundant, simple 90s drum and bass drum pattern and bass line and everything like that. Definitely to the point, no frills, not a bunch of stuff going on on the production side. Very simple, like I said, no I wouldn't call that a melody really. It's just kind of a nice little, matter of fact, let me play it real quick.
Oh yeah, bro. I love the whole, it feels like he escaped the mental asylum type feel.
Yeah.
It's given, when the Joker left the hospital and blew it up. The whole first part where it's just kind of like the one take and shit is kind of like just giving that energy and stuff. And then I love the like kind of showing inside how basically he arsoned his heart.
Yeah.
And it just like fired and stuff like that. And then it equated to like his body. That's a decent shot.
What I loved, all right, so when you see it like start off and everything.
No. You're good. Go on.
You see like that picture perfect house and everything like that in the picture. And I'm like, okay, you kind of see him start off with that, but then you see everything around him is destroyed and burnt up. he's as an arsonist or whatever like that, and he kind of goes into it like, you know, I started off a certain way, but then I begin to burn. Then I burned brighter and brighter, and my label, my fellas, my fans, we all burn bright together, and I like that we know BTS, we know how much they love Army, but I just love that it's interesting to see how they continue to put them into everything, every single kind of song or whatever like that they got going forward, to let them know like you're always a part of what we got going on, and we burn bright together. And when you look at the strength of Army or how powerful or the impact that they have on certain things, it's very true. Because the bigger Army gets, or the more Army talks, the brighter BTS burns. You know, like like the stars that they are. And so I think that's dope. And the last thing that I saw him say that was pretty interesting was pretty much like, all right, now do I chill out, or do I do I burn brighter? Do I go harder on y'all? And I'm just like, hey, bro, the world is yours. You know, do what you want, man. I like it. I can't wait to listen to the rest of the album. I'll definitely give it a spin today when I go to work. Oh, yeah, spoiler alert, guys. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. But I'll definitely give it a spin when I go to work later on and check it out. But I thought this was pretty dope. Under 3 minutes, kind of short and to the point and everything like that. I'm going to let Kurt go and just see if I see anything else.
Now, another thing too, Kurt, before you jump into everything, I do like how the video almost starts off with the done thing, and then he kind of leads that into the cadence and everything, all like that. I like how he's playing with burn as a metaphor and everything. Listen, to my hopes it burned, my life burned, every day I ran, I couldn't stop. Back then, I burned it all.
And I'm not mistaken, is this a one take?
Yes, the whole first
part.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I was like,
this
is a one take.
Popularity. I'm feeling the vibe, man, and I'm feeling the energy. Kurt, go off.
City shower petrol.
No, I like this a lot. For one, just on a pure artistry level, everything that he did technically on the track, you know, his flow and cadence switches and everything like that. Like, I think there was easily between a 4 and 5 or something like that. And the way he was just attacking the beat was ridiculous. And I don't want to say he doesn't get enough credit as a rapper, but it's just when you know how incredible he is as a dancer and as a vocalist, particularly within BTS. His rapping ability is ridiculous. I've said it in other videos before, but I'll say it again here, and especially for, you know, anyone who might be new to the channel or anything like that. I don't think I've ever heard him once in any song, any track, anything repeat a flow. And that's something just that I just admire that so much from an artistry perspective. And I love the energy of every place that this is coming from, as you had said. For one, yes, definitely using that passion and that aggression in a sense where you're akinning it to Arson. You are burning brighter. But the thing I find so cool about that is he is particularly known for being the cheerful, you know, one. And clearly, you know, J-Hope is separating J-Hope from Hobie himself. And I love that he's doing that. But he's using the same kind of core essence, just on opposite ends of the spectrum, it seems. Where
I'm surprised he didn't use a moniker like August D. He used a moniker for his. I'm actually surprised he didn't, you know, do anything like that. I mean, I guess.
Well, I mean, he did say
he is who he is. Yeah, he's telling a different story.
You know,
yeah,
we'll see where that story goes. But I love that he is essentially kind of separating the two in a sense, but it's the equal side of the spectrum because it's all born from passion.
Yeah.
So yes, the thing that's cool about the Arson in this sense is literally using the brightness within you. You're burning bright, but it's like a darker kind of context, but it's still that it's still born of that same sort of passion. But I love that so much. Now, some of the things that I definitely love, you know, within the video particularly, it starts off with everything being reversed. You know, you're seeing the explosion being kind of played backwards. So this is essentially like this already happened, and I'm kind of showing you how it came to this sort of thing, which I like. Even the whole perfect house, which doesn't seem to be the thing that's burned, it's fictional. You know, it's a 2D. It's like a painting or some kind of
like a mural or something.
A mural. Yeah, that's a good way to put it as well.
The painter's fiddle.
Yeah, so it's something, right? So it's something that I found really interesting in the sense that it's like the perfect house or the perfect situation kind of, or something that even if you akin that to like just you know, like tangible possessions as opposed to like the passion of the art and everything like that. But definitely the tracking shots or dolly, how you want to interpret that. Funny enough, the person running by too that was on fire, I did kind of get a sense that that might have been a reference to Fire, the MV that we checked out. Now whether that's like your shadow self or anything like that, or however, you know, you kind of want to interpret that metaphor perhaps. But and then within some of the lyrics that I did really love, and I'm not quite sure, you know, the entire accuracy of everything with the lyrics, but one thing that it at least seemed to be alluding to was he basically said, I'm sweating, and it's akin to like showering like petroleum or something like
petrol.
that.
Yeah.
Petrol, exactly. So you're essentially saying that like your hard work, your blood, sweat, and your tears, if you will, is literally flammable. Like it's something, like it's a tangible thing within you that is, like the harder your work, the fruits of your labor, if you will, you're akinning that to being something that's going to catch fire. And I just find that metaphor so beautiful. And then when we get to kind of around the halfway point in the track, I want to say, where the setting changes again to the more highway setting, he basically begs the question, is it something, as you had said, Lo, do I put this out? Like, is this something I got to tame, or is this something I let go wild, basically? And that's where the video shifts, because that's where the tone and the direction of everything shifts. And then when you get that sequence where, you know, it looks inside of him and you see, like, the burning heart and everything like that, for one, visually, that just looked incredible as well. But I love everything about the message behind that. And just, I'm really curious as far as tracklist wise, like, where this kind of sits between everything.
I feel like this is the third track on the album.
It might. I'm just really curious where it's gonna land. But nonetheless, man, I enjoyed this so much.
Arson is the last song on the album.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, y'all go off because I gotta digest that for a minute.
Other takeaways from here too. I love I guess I'll paraphrase some of the stuff he was saying. Just the whole "no one can put my fire out except me." I think he called himself a fireman of chaos or something like that. Yeah, y'all know how I feel about
The whole Chaos Joker thing makes sense too.
Yeah, and that's why I said I definitely was getting like the Joker vibes and everything like that. A little bit of Tenet vibes. Now that you mentioned it with the reverse, with everything reversing and doing shit when it first came on. But y'all know I kind of love like the big talk rap, and I feel like a lot of the members in BTS, particularly the rap line, are at a point where they can talk a lot of shit. So anytime they get a chance to kind of flex on haters or just kind of let people know like, yo, I'm big dog, I love that for them, and I'm here for it. But yeah, anything.
And what's interesting about that is that they're not doing it the way, or he's doing it in a way, because they got flex songs before, like Mic Drop.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a flex song of a more traditional way. Definitely Dang.
Yeah. So
you know, and he didn't even, in those songs, he didn't even shy away from like, you know, monetary or material, bringing up material stuff and everything like that, or just success in general. This one definitely seems more of a existential type of bragging, or, you know, shit talking and everything like
definitely
that.
more poetic.
Yeah, it's more so from an artistic standpoint than
artsy
AP,
shit talking.
Dang.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not like
I was
about to say like AP. Dang.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. It's just more so like, yo, look what I've done. I think sometimes it's always brought up about artists going into their own hubris and everything like that, which I don't think BTS is even close to that point of falling in that, just because of, first of all, having to split songs with 7 members and everything like that. It's kind of hard to do that in oneself.
It's a very humbling thing already.
It's just you gotta cherish every moment you get. But when you think about what they have achieved and they have done,
10 seconds.
huh?
Bring that back like 10, 15.
When you think about what they have done and achieved, considering they're the biggest artists in their country.
I just want to pause on that one part.
Oh.
A little after that. Right there.
Yeah, when you think about where they have come from and, you know, what they represent for South Korea and everything like that, it's just kind of like you are at a point where you can say and do certain things differently. You've done what no one else did. You didn't have a manual for how to kind of, or any blueprint for how to kind of do anything. And and while BTS can be a blueprint for people to follow, and other groups and everything like that, I just think their dynamic is so. Excuse me, shit. Edit this, Nick. I just think their I just think their I just think their dynamic is so individual to them that it would be hard to kind of duplicate what they did. And like you said, it's also because of Army and the emotional connection. But just getting back to tying this back to this, I just love seeing him take the kind of artistic road in how he's expressing himself and how he sees himself and what he's accomplished and how far he's gone. So I definitely can't wait to listen to the rest of the album, just because now that, like you said, now that this is the last song on the album, and he said it's supposed to be a story or kind of linear or something like that.
There's a lot of rewatch value for that.
Yeah, I definitely want to know where you're going, because More is like the third song. So I want to know musically for sure. First and foremost, musically, I want to know what kind of trip it's going to be to end up this way. Because usually when artists drops a single, it's never the last song on the album. Even it being like more than 10 songs into the album is kind of weird or rare. But I just kind of want to, I definitely want to see where he's going for this to be the last song on the album, if it's supposed to be like a story or, linear kind of concept. So I can't wait to hear everything else, man. Hosuck, one of a kind.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious on the whole Jack in the Box aspects of everything, because if everything is like the surprise, of kind of winding the box and showing this new side of yourself, again, whether that's alluded to like your shadow selves or these deeper desires as they talk about, fame, even a mention of like the Grammys and things of that nature were in the song More as well. And then at the end, the More, kind of packaging all that up at the end, almost as though you're like compartmentalizing in a sense.
Right.
So I'm curious if the Arson is sort of when all that's just released. In that sense, and kind of quote unquote everything's out of the box now, or everything's like out on the field, so to speak. So I would at least assume that that's part of the Arson aspect. But definitely one of the things I wanted to touch on was I like how he had basically said the whole idea of them running in the first verse was nonstop, and how the camera work was kind of a one shot sort of everything, because it seemed like they were talking about the past at that point, in the sense of like we were nonstop running. We kept going, like kind of, how they, I mean, if you want to attribute that to being overworked, perhaps that's a way to put it, but just the sense that they had kept going and kept going and kept going, working harder and harder, achieving new heights and breaking new barriers in the process. So the fact that kind of the camera work like sort of just tracks with them the whole time as everything's burning, I feel like that's almost in a way sort of meant to be a metaphor of like all the milestones in the sense that they could have hit.
Okay.
And again, even the person running by seeming like fire, I don't know, there might be something there perhaps, but nonetheless, but then the break is kind of where like I'm at this place now. Do I do this and contain this flame, or do I let it burn? And that's when we get the set switch to the highway. But the thing I like about the highway thing too is, even if you interpret that as like just a state of travel or in betweenness, if you will, like there's a destination you're trying to go. So I find that really interesting as well, because from the beginning image, how everything is kind of reversed. We know everything blows up, but that set piece in the very beginning from the opening image was actually the highway.
Right.
So essentially, he's saying that journey, like, should I do this or should I do that? He's kind of accepting the Arson route, it seems. Well, obviously for, the title of the song being Arson, but essentially embracing that side of yourself and kind of going forward with it. So if that's the last song on the album, I can certainly see how that would be interpreted that way. But and then funny enough, when the third set piece comes in, the switch, because if we know he's in that state of travel, between like a burned highway or whatever, that's where it's all introspective, and the camera literally uses the metaphor of the charred body of himself, like kind of on that inner side. So I find that really interesting as well, that kind of the best way forward is inward, and that definitely seems to be something the group as a whole is kind of taking at this time, just with exploring solo work and things of that nature. But one of the lyrics I definitely really wanted to touch on that I was trying to kind of digest and interpret was, he had basically said towards the middle something along the lines of those who want to cast his stone or know his stone, but it kind of reminded me of the biblical sense of like only those who haven't judged should cast the first stone or something.
He who
like
is
that.
he who is
Yeah.
without sin shall cast the first stone.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
those trying to cast your stone, essentially, I like how he kind of holds that mirror up to everyone else as well, for perhaps judging him, whether it's this direction or the side of himself expressing these feelings. It's just really amazing, and certainly, just artistically, just as a side note to kind of tie all this together, I love, granted, yes, people do know him as the cheerful, upbeat one who creates that positive atmosphere for everyone around him, and I certainly love those aspects of him, and I think that's true to him. I don't think that's just a character, but I do love the aspects of being able to kind of express those other sides of yourself that are darker. And mind you, it can be hard to do that between friends, but let alone millions and millions of people who are going to watch you. So just the pure artistry. Every kind of, I look at music or art in general like it's a blank page, and it's a canvas to be kind of used and painted on, and explored. And whether you choose to show those darker colors of yourself or the more brighter sides, I just think it's all still art at the end of the day. And it's how many artists do you know? Everyone would basically say that it's a form of therapy or expression for them. So I just love that he now is using this outlet and kind of embracing this side of himself to go forward. And if nothing else, even if it's something, because as it was said in the Festa by Suga, Jungi, was that if you are kind of, just put it out there, because he was saying what new artists would ask him about paths to choose, and he basically said, just put it out there, because, you're not going to grow, even if people like it, that's great, and if people don't like it, then it's an opportunity for you to kind of reassess the situation and learn valuable lessons that you then take with you to grow, as a person and musically. And again, I don't want to shy away from his rapping ability within this track, everything he did with the flow and cadence switches and just how he was attacking that beat. And I definitely am curious about that beat selection too, because that bass line was really crazy. Ironically, bass line, but
that was the other song, baseline. That's
Yeah.
right,
With the bass line.
yeah, so it might be something there. But nonetheless, all that to say that I'm just, really happy to see this direction going forward, and I can't wait to get my thoughts on the rest of the album as a whole, and when we kind of tie up this story as a whole.
Yeah, I was gonna say this definitely feels like a purging off the first two videos. It feels like he's purging, kind of getting some thoughts off. Also, you kind of see him be a little bit more vulgar here than I've ever seen him. I want to say I think I've seen Suga maybe say fuck a couple times or something like that. I don't think I've ever seen J-Hope kind of get into that kind of vibes. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure. I'm not saying it. I'm saying what I've seen, not what has happened, guys. So
I gotta check to remember if he did curse on there.
yeah, I remember Runch cussing a few times. I watched him on American Hustle Life saying fuck and all this shit like that.
He's cursing on Do You and all these other joints.
Yeah,
he always let his shit off.
Runch gonna get it. But no, I definitely just 2 videos in. I definitely just feels like this is a purging, and it also feels like I don't want to say anti-establishment, because that would be a slap in the face of anti-establishment, but definitely anti-establishment in the sense of going against what you know him for and what you know BTS for. The 2, like I said, 2 videos in, that's definitely what I get so far. So it's very interesting to say the least. Like I said, this one will definitely be something I would put on to hit the bag or maybe do some cardio too. So
yeah, this is getting downloaded. 2 things real quick. One is I wanted to jump back into light of the conversation you had earlier, because I was on that same train on like another video. I was like, a lot of people got to start putting a lot more respect on J-Hope Pen, just because at least me going off of comments or just kind of going off of things I see, and even sometimes on here, well, we show him love, but his pen is also like he got a pen, like it's just
even some of the not to cut you off, but just how everything that was said in the More video, and granted, could be with this as well, but some of the translations not being as thorough. So just even kind of going back to More and seeing some of the pen and wordplay in there, particularly like when he opens and talks about the essential fish out of water thing, and then being in your element and everything like that. That again, amazing Army and Redeemers, were helping us break down as well. But just there's a lot more respect that for sure got to be put on his pen.
Yeah, and some people watching us who maybe aren't privy to being on Patreon, you guys should jump on there. literally a majority of us reacted to basically the entire Hope world. So this isn't kind of our first rodeo with him. Even with BTS content, I feel like we 300 videos in, we know what's up with all they pens and stuff, and he definitely should be accredited a little bit more as having one of the more lethal pens when it comes to being a rapper.
Man, my man said, "Uri money soup."
Real shit.
That's probably my favorite lyric from him. You know what I'm saying? The forest is for us, but you wasn't there. I love that shit.
Another thing too is we really didn't get a chance to like go over like the track list. Some of these are interesting. Like you have intro. Y'all know what an intro is.
I used to pray for times like this,
to rhyme like that.
Oh, sorry, wrong crowd.
Pandora's Box sounds interesting. Because for some reason that kind of gives me more of the Jack in the Box theme or vibes from that.
There's a lot to
unpack.
There's a lot of
references, similes, things that can go about with a Pandora's Box being the name of a track.
Anything that can go wrong will go wrong is kind of the first thing that sort of comes to mind. So it's definitely kind of taking on the responsibilities, seemingly, of opening that proverbial,
Pandora's Box.
Yeah.
After that, you have more, stop, and equal sign. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, let's jump into the tracks and see what we're getting into. Music box reflection. That sounds interesting.
Anytime you see the colon there, I'm like, okay, this seems like a theme.
Is this the theme?
It's leading to something else, yeah.
Because it's also, like I said, Pandora's Box, music box. So now we kind of, Jack in the Box.
Opening things up.
Yeah. What if?
What if?
This is a good Marvel joint. Marvel somewhere like...
Yo, J-Hope in the MCU. Listen, take my money.
Arson, Safety Zone, Future...
Hendrix and Hope.
Even the titles of that, like a what if, like if I had done this or if I had, gone this route or chose this or anything like that. But then the what's that after? Safety zone, like basically I don't know what it is, but definitely. Okay, I feel like I'm really kind of seeing a little bit of a path here, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, because even so, it's just some of these, and I'm not trying to make this like, clickbait or something. These definitely are intriguing title names for everything. It kind of makes you want to dive into the tracks and find out exactly
Absolutely
what's up with the what's up. Especially because, like, Lo, I'm on the same page as you. Artists typically never give you a title track, and it's the last track of the album.
Yeah.
So this is kind of... It's kind of more was closer to his first track, and Arson was closer to the end. So you're getting kind of some of the beginning of the album and the end. We definitely need to do an album review on it. I'm not sure how we want to do this because I feel like these should be special enough to get their own video.
The good thing with that is it is only 22 minutes.
Oh, I'm aware. The whole album is 10
only,
tracks.
Yeah, it's 10 tracks and only 22 minutes. So I'm assuming some of these might be less than 2 minutes long or something like that.
What might be interesting on Patreon is if we do one video at a time and then just collectively do the album review after we've heard all 10 videos.
Absolutely. 'Cause I feel like just the fact that this
if
is
all
telling,
10 get a video.
Yeah, well, all the color coders are out and everything right now.
Okay, I'll get what you mean.
just the fact that this is telling a story, though, you definitely, got to process the entirety of it, whether that be, individually with the tracks or the album review as a whole. But.
I mean, I didn't expect a double album or nothing, but 22 minutes, it kind of. I mean, Pusha T had Daytona, and that was like less.
It's on brand for now for everything today because some old heads might be like, that's an EP. That's on brand for today's. From what artists are doing today. And honestly, if he can captivate us for 22 minutes, tell us a compelling story and get into everything, I don't give a fuck if the album was 15 minutes long. If you told your story and you got everything on wax, then you have my vote. Also, y'all, make sure y'all go out there and stream Hope shit way more. I know some army is doing their best, and obviously everybody is trying to show love and stuff like that. Make sure my guy shit is like really hitting because this is dope ass content. And this shit should really be number one and should be doing everything. And, I'm normally not one of them people that tell people to stream and do stuff or whatever. But if it was anybody that I wanted to see be successful in the, the launch of everything, it definitely is Hope. Also, he's ushering in the BTS, albums and everything like that. I want this shit to start off with a bang. So I want the best for all of them. And I think we definitely should do what we can to support him. When is the Lollapalooza tour and stuff like that?
The end of the month, so 2 weeks from now.
Really wish shit was situated,
Bro. Everything
wish
that
shit was
could
situated.
go wrong as far as us going to these concerts went wrong. Because I told you know how hell bent I was on going to that
Doing
Dreamcatcher
the
concert.
Dreamcatcher joint.
I couldn't go to that, and this I really wanted to go to Hobie Palooza as well, and I was gonna go for the whole weekend, and now I can't. But yeah,
Anything else you want to add, Kurt?
Yeah, just two things.
Go
For
off.
one, touching back on that lyric about the cast in the stone, I like the metaphor of kind of, he said sidestep the board game or whatever, like basically this kind of monopoly, if you will. Whoever has this figure, or like what path should be taken is correctly, like I'm not playing by those rules, I'm sidestepping that game, and that tying into the cast of stone thing as far as judgment of character and things of that nature. But it also, the word choice of sidestep I found interesting because it was talking about the past, in the first verse seemingly, and the camera work was kind of that like single like tracking dolly shot, if you will, or whatever. And then the second verse was the highway sequence, but the camera was literally on the tracks going sideways, like going to the right side. So the whole side step with the camera work, like moving literally to the side with him. I just found those camera choices very interesting as well within the context of that. And also, really, the last thing I was just going to add was essentially, I did notice in more the separation between obviously the dark wardrobe and the white wardrobe. The thing I find interesting about that is they're all exploring darker aspects of himself, but in more whenever it was like proverbially, or whenever he was in the proverbial Jack in the Box, if you will, he was actually wearing white and not darker colors, even though he was expressing those darker things. So I find that juxtaposition, kind of the way you flip that on its head, really interesting, because he also does that here, which is a kind of, I would assume, is a recurring theme within the album. So him wearing the white, even though he's talking about the expressions of darkness, which again ties into the duality of the metaphor of the arson, in the sense of I'm burning bright, but it's destruction in a sense, if you will, the consequences that come with those things. So when he's wearing the white and he's expressing those things, I find it interesting in the sense that when you attribute, color theory to anything, if you're akinning white to I'm trying to think like the correct choice, if you will, or something like that, or pure, characters wearing white versus wearing black, or wearing, gray if they're kind of somewhere stuck in the middle, just all those sort of motifs that you see in films and in storytelling in general. So him kind of wearing the white while talking about, those darker things, it's essentially as though he's validating that path, and it's kind of interesting in a sense too, because we know, as RM had said with the Tear album, you had to express the darker sides of love in that sense to kind of come out on the other side to have a full understanding of self, and nonetheless it just feels like that same sort of essence is being reflected here.
I love the juxtaposition when it comes to like wearing white for anything that's supposed to be like notions of like dark or evil or anything. Side note, one of my favorite devil performances is Constantine. Like at the end, and the devil pops up wearing all white, and I know he's was an angel before, but I just love something about that.
It's moral ambiguity.
Also in Kung Fu flicks, you never want the character wearing all white at the end of a Kung Fu movie.
You know that one. Like the red in Star Trek, the red shirt in Star Trek. But yeah, I find things like that really interesting and reflective.
No, it's just dope. Just because we know with BTS, outside of just how decent their pen is and how much time they take with choreography and other things, a lot of love is dissected and put into like all these videos and stuff too. So almost anything you see in the video, like you said, it was done for a reason.
It's a
if
choice,
the camera was panning sideways, it's for a reason. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm with you, bro. Everything here, Hope had his reasons behind every single thing here.
I would love to get more behind the scenes on this stuff, and I'm sure things like that, will certainly, come in the future to be released. But I'm just really fascinated in the artistic process that it took him to kind of getting on this journey, and then everything from the pen to the beat selection, the wardrobe, the music videos, everything. Like I'm all in on this.
You good, love?
great.
Yeah, like I said, if this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Y'all literally just got like a half an hour worth of some decent ass content, and these analysts up here are breaking shit down, killing the game. Also, make sure you guys hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as we drop, you guys know what's going on. Jump on the Patreon. Everything BTS centric is on there. Like I said, everything from Rise of Bangtan to In the Soup to All the Mama and MMA performances, M Block stuff is on there.
Run episodes.
The run episodes. It's going to be an album review for this, an album review for Proof at some point too. And we probably will, by the time next month, start to have full breakdowns on things, especially us kind of going lyric by lyric and kind of just really dissecting some stuff. So it's a lot of dope things that's going to be coming to the channel and the Patreon and everything very, very soon. So just make sure you guys are all aboard. Redeemers, Army, we love you. We're going to holla at y'all.
Love y'all. Take care.
Peace.